Greetings, WHAP warriors. Brad Anderson here. Writing Workshop Wednesday today. We're continuing our journey together, becoming adept at writing the long essay question. I'm foregoing a document-based question for today because, alas, I don't have the resources on hand to write a proper DBQ, but will when I return. This LEQ will do just fine, though, and will demonstrate your understanding as well as keep you sharp in regards to your skills. So let's take a look at today's long essay question. Here's how we're going to do it. I'd like you to get your journals out, and your draft will go into your journal. I want you to draft it first, and then I will have you put the final draft into Google Classwork. The due date will be tomorrow at 8 a.m., but you will have the hour to finish it, and I dare say 90% of you will finish it during the hour. I'm going to walk you through a few things, and hopefully that'll be helpful, but I do want to continue to release and move back. Last time I walked you through the DBQ, I walked you through the LEQ. Now I'm starting to just give you the prompt. Assume that you've read it, assume that you've taken the notes, assume that you have a basic understanding of the content, and so that you are prepared to write one. So let's take a look. Long essay question. In the 1800s and early 1900s, industrialization transformed societies in America, Eurasia, Africa, but the process of industrialization varied from country to country. Develop an argument that evaluates the extent to which the process of industrialization in the United States and in Russia were similar or different. Now, in your textbook, in Chapter 9, you should have two distinct sections that are about a page each on the development of industrialization in the United States and the development of industrialization in Russia. And both of them, they essentially compare and contrast the two experiences, and so it's a perfect and natural long essay question. All of the facts, all the data you need is right there in about a 4-page span. So yes, there are a few things from our notes that you can use, but it's more or less from the reading that you will be using items to write this. Now, formula for success. Do not forget, contextualization. First thing you do is situate within the broader historical context. I would definitely mention the fact, when you're writing your context, that this is the period 1750 to 1900, an age of Atlantic revolutions such as the American Revolution, French Revolution, Haitian Revolution, as well as the Industrial Revolution, which introduced industry to first Great Britain, and then to Europe, and then to the United States, and then Asia. Okay. Thesis, we'll worry about that here in just a second. Thesis, we use the tried and true formula, although X, AB, therefore Y. A is the first body paragraph of your topic sentence using 3 pieces of evidence to support your thesis. Now, in this case, it's going to be evidence from your text and the reading or your notes. B is second body paragraph topic sentence using 3 pieces of evidence to support. Use your evidence, specific historical terms, info, to corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument that addresses the prompt. So let's walk through that very quickly before you get started with your draft in your journal. Industrialization. First thing you want to go back and look at is, okay, what 5 important elements, excuse me, from United States industrialization do I remember reading about? And if you don't remember reading about it, you're going to want to skim back through your reading, and you're going to want to look at the different elements from this particular section. I know that there is a map. I know that there is quite a bit of information that you can rely on in order to... Sorry, I should have had this on my lap right here, ready to go. There's a map, and it should look like a little bit like this, that has some figures on it and resources. And I do know that those paragraphs are filled with valuable information about industrialization in the United States. And so what are some key elements? And also, in my notes, I went over some of the key inventions as well that are going to propel the United States forward. And you can use those, of course. So you can also rely on your notes to help you with the United States. Then you're going to want to look at Russian industrialization. And that's going to be on the next page, next pages. Russian industrialization has quite a bit. It has locations, where it occurs, how it occurs, with whom it occurs, what different industries and what different resources are being used in order to kickstart the Russian period of industrialization. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to go back and make sure you're clear on what is industrialization in the United States in the late 1800s look like, what does industrialization in Russia in the late 1800s look like. What are some of the similarities? Well, right away, one similarity is rapid growth. They both have rapid growth. The United States and Russia rapidly grow during this time period, and they're going to see an overwhelming growth in their industrial sectors, and their coal mining, and their iron production, and their steel production. And there's some other similarities, but I would tend to look towards the differences. Okay, when we're looking at how we're going to develop a thesis. And for instance, the United States. The United States was the most exuberant democracy in the world at the time. All right, publicly elected legislature. There's a democratically elected president, local legislatures. It was the most shining example of democracy in the world at the time. Russia, however, was an autocratic empire with no national parliament or nationwide elections, and had a czar, and was very much a society that was not free. In fact, there were serfs into the 1860s. The United States was home to the grassroots economic growth. It was free farmers and workers and entrepreneurs and inventors that are going to make industrialization happen. It's going to be bubbling up from the surface with a grassroots effort to industrialize. Russia is going to industrialize as initiated by the state. It's going to be forced by the government. It's going to be a forced industrialization by the government to industrialize. So that's something to keep in mind. And then, I need to move this down. The development of capitalism had a strong appeal in America, but there was also a strong appeal of socialism and communism, especially as the century turned in Russia with the revolution of 1905. Socialism and communism are going to take although they're going to be appealing in the United States, capitalism is going to be the prevailing wind in the United States, whereas socialism and capitalism are going to take on much more interest in Russia, especially in the days leading up to World War I and the eventual Russian Revolution. Those differences are all key to note because they're going to help us craft our thesis. When we go to write our thesis, I'm going to give you the X. I'm just going to give you the X, the counter argument. Although both the United States and Russia rapidly industrialized during the late 1800s and early 1900s, A, hint, how did industrialization start in Russia or the United States? B, who was industrializing and creating change? And then I'm going to give you why, though. Therefore, the development of industrialization in Russia and the United States was vastly different. For the purposes of this particular essay, I'm giving you X and Y, and it is your job to fill in the A and the B, which will be point A, which will be the topic sentence of your first body paragraph, which you will go on to use 3 pieces of evidence to prove. And then B will be the topic sentence of your second body paragraph, which you will then use 3 pieces of evidence to go on and prove. Now, you can take your time because you have the hour. This is a writing workshop. I don't suppose that you will, speed through this. I want you to do a good job because, after all, it's processing the information. And number 2, it's working on your skills as a writer for the AP college writing. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is to see this in your journal. I want to see a long essay question, industrialization, draft in your journal that you work on first before moving on. And by draft, I mean getting down your general notes. You can bullet point using the format from the previous slide. And then once you have it down and you have your thoughts collected and the data that you're going to use and the evidence that you're going to use, then move on to Google Classroom where you will type it out in its entirety, okay, in Google Classroom, and that will be for an assignment grade. Now, once you are done, please key in here. Once you are done with today's activity, keep in mind that on Friday, and I apologize, I know me being gone has not been easy. on Friday you will have, and by all accounts, it sounds like there's going to be a big snowstorm on Friday. So whether we're in class or not, I want you to be ready. If there is a snowstorm and we do have a snow day, I might reconsider and say go sledding, go have some fun. But if you're in school, we have a terms quiz, and you will have a quest over the information from Chapter 9. So when you're done, it shouldn't just be checkout time. It should be study for the terms. Make a Quizlet, review a Quizlet, go back over your notes, go back over the primary source readings, go back over the different summaries in the chapter, and prepare yourself for Friday so that you can leave the week feeling good and we can return on Monday with a clean slate. Okay, and that will be on Friday. Tomorrow, as promised, and I talked with Mr. Donovan, you will have an opportunity to play the World Diplomacy game. I know that some of you are gone, so those entities and those organizations and those countries, if they're completely gone and off the map right now, they will be frozen in time, and we will deal with them when they return. I apologize to those of you who are quarantined right now. This is not easy for anybody. This has been a very, very difficult disruption to my life. I can't imagine yours. So we will improvise, adapt, and overcome. We will get through this together, and we will be back on the other side, hopefully, by early February at rolling. So, again, long essay question. Once you do your draft, type it in Google Classwork, and then begin studying for the quest on Friday. And have a great day. Huzzah.